everybody, welcome back to the fields, welcome back to China, welcome back to my channel. Oh goodness, where to begin? Yeah, you can see it's really nice out here. Wildflowers growing, everything's nice and green. Just really nice overall. So I wanted to address a couple of things. Now, a lot of people have been commenting that I should probably get out of China as soon as possible, and even I have felt like that, and you've probably noticed that from some of my past videos, but well, it's not really possible to do at the moment. You know, I looked on a website to look at flights. There are no flights left to go to the United States for several months. I think until June. Maybe in June there's like a couple. Yeah, it's a little rough trying to get out, and of course business is well, it's not doing anything right now. There is no business going on. It's just absolutely dead at the moment, and I can't really go anywhere to do anything about it. So yeah, it looks like I'm just stuck. I'm just stuck here for now. So I guess I'm gonna have to get used to that. It shouldn't be too hard. I've lived in China for quite a while. But yeah, it looks like I'm not going anywhere. I had thought about going maybe to Japan, maybe to Korea, somewhere like that, but it's just not possible at the moment. Nobody is accepting anybody in, especially not from mainland China. But actually, those countries aren't accepting anybody from anywhere. You'd have to be a citizen or something to be able to get in. And obviously, I'm American. I'm not Japanese or Korean or anything like that. So for the time being, I'm just going to have to be used to being in China. And I have to say, the people here and the people that I encountered, other than the doorman and the apartment management people, they've all been pretty nice. Nobody's given me any trouble. Everybody smiles and waves just like usual. So I think I need to, I have to address that. There's a lot of hate going on online. If you're on Twitter, you probably think that the Chinese people are absolutely nuts. And they're just going crazy and full of hatred and vitriol toward everybody foreign. That's not the case. For the most part, they're all just normal. And in fact, a lot of them get tired of hearing the same stuff too. They get sick of those people online. So don't get, if you see something on Twitter, especially on Twitter, just ignore it. A lot of times it's just bots. Or it's, what do they call it, the 50 Cent Army or whatever. I don't know if they're still the 50 Cent Army or if they're all volunteer at this point, but yeah, don't get bent out of shape over it. They're just crazy people online. The regular Chinese people, they're not out to get foreigners. I know that whole racist thing happened in Guangzhou. That's a real shame. And I don't know if it's still going on. I'm not in the southern part of China, so I don't know. I've seen all the videos. It's really terrible what happened and what continues to happen. And there's no excuse for it, even if the government wants to try to make excuses. There really is none. But for my case, so far things are fine. I've been watching the news, and I've seen more and more stories coming out showing that, you know, the virus came from a lab in Wuhan, and you know, countries like the United States saying that if it's proven that China covered this up, which I think at this point it's already been proven, then they're going to be held accountable. And China's been doing crazy things like testing nukes and sending carrier strike groups through contested waters and too close to Taiwan. But let's face it, they've always been aggressive in that way. This really isn't new. So I know it seems like it's new, but China is, their military is very well known for being very aggressive and, how shall we say, careless when it comes to those kinds of things. It's not necessarily the Chinese central government like Xi Jinping said to go and, you know, fly their jets right next to us and collide with, no, they probably didn't. It's just some overzealous Chinese officer that decided to do something. I don't know, in the case of the carrier strike group, that would have probably been a show of force, just to let everybody know that, hey, we're still here and we're still strong or whatever. But as for the individuals like myself, so far things are okay. There's been a few minor incidents, but so far everything is okay, and that's good because, like I said, for the time being, I am literally stuck and there's nothing I can do, so might as well get used to it. So now, having gotten that out of the way, maybe we can talk a little bit about village life since I'm out here in the countryside. Earlier today, I was out with my son and I encountered a water buffalo tied up. You'll notice it's tied up by its nose. I guess nothing's going to run away with a hook through its nose, but anyway, they have those. They bring them out to the fields usually when they're doing their planting. They'll send them into the rice paddies, and those water buffalo love water. If they see water, they'll usually rush toward it. But they'll send them into the rice paddy, and I guess they just slosh around. I'm not sure what the real purpose is, but I guess they fertilize the field at the same time as breaking up all the solid bits of mud. I don't know exactly why, but they do turn them loose in the rice paddies before they plant anything. I thought they were done with that. I was kind of surprised to see the water buffalo over there. My son was certainly surprised. He was kind of afraid of it. He didn't want me to get too close. I guess a big animal, he's probably wise to not want me to get too close to the thing, but I didn't get too close. I got close enough to get a photo and a video of it, but yeah, he he didn't want me to get too close. He was worried about me. Now, that's my son. Sometimes he hits me when he gets upset, and sometimes he's worried about me. He doesn't really hit me. I mean, you know, every little kid, they get too excited sometimes. They'll start swinging their arms. But yeah, I only worry about it when he has something in his hand, like the Xbox controller or an iPad, because usually that means it's going to go flying across the room, and then he'll be in trouble by his mom. That's who really gets him in trouble, is his mom. I'm probably too lenient on him. But hey, that's, you know, I like to have fun with my son, so what can I say? But yeah, the water buffalo, he was pretty concerned about that. So also, for anyone who is interested in getting started on maybe their own little journey out in Asia or something like that, I do have to say that there's an enormous, well, how would I put that? There's a lot of job openings, I'll put it that way. Maybe not for professional positions like if you wanted to be an engineer, there'd probably be some, but I think that most of the manufacturing stuff is, well, it's going to be struggling for a while here in China. But if you want to just come to Asia to experience something different, there's a lot of teaching jobs available. Right now, the schools, these little training centers and public schools, every kind of school you can think of, they're going crazy looking for teachers. So you won't be able to come here right away, but hopefully if things open back up and the flights start up again, probably sometime about mid-May, you'll probably be able to come out here and it'll be really, really easy to get a job. So, like I said, if you're interested in starting off on your own little adventure here in Asia in general, maybe China's a good place to get started. It's not like you're going to be trapped here or something. Not like me, but yeah, you should look into it. And even if you decide you don't want to stay in China, it could be a good place to get started on that sort of path, I guess you could say. Something to keep in mind. And maybe if things go back somewhat to normal here, I can go to making videos giving advice about how to survive in this place. We'll see how it goes. Speaking of how things are going, I think I need to stay away from the news. And Twitter, of course. They're going to drive me insane. It's like a big roller coaster. One day everything is starting to improve. The next thing you know, there's about to be a war or something like that. It's just not good. Most of it is just exaggeration. So yeah, I really need to stay away from that and just focus on everyday life. Otherwise, it's going to drive me insane, especially with so much time on my hands. You know, normally I'd be so busy, but as of late, there's really nothing to do but go out here and look at the news. So probably something I need to start avoiding. Just talk about whatever, but yeah, I think I'm going to be avoiding the news from now on. So there's a lot of jobs out here if anybody is interested in taking them. Like I said, as of late, things have been kind of rough here in China, but it'll probably all blow over at some point, as it always does. One thing that anybody who's been here a long time will tell you is that these things come and they go. And that might be, I guess, a reason not to come here. But hey, if you're looking at getting started on some kind of an adventure overseas, you want to give it a try as an expat, China might be a good place to get started. I mean, it's as long as you have the qualifications, then getting a teaching job, I guess, if you want to do that, is relatively simple to do. You do have to be careful. I have friends that can tell you about that. I have my own experiences from long ago where I can tell you you've got to be careful what you're getting yourself into. But that's anything, you know. If you're going overseas, don't just blindly jump into anything and trust everything they tell you. You got to be careful. And maybe now is a good time to start going back to making videos about navigating through the pitfalls of coming overseas to work, just if you're doing it as an adventure. Maybe in the next video I can start on that. I'll tell you guys again, I have some old videos that I had started to make going into some of my early adventures here in China, and misadventures, I guess I should say. Maybe I can get back into that for anybody who's interested in starting life overseas and they see China as an easy opportunity to get started. But beyond that, life here in the countryside seems to be about the same, unaffected by what is happening in the wide world. Kind of makes me think of the Hobbits in Lord of the Rings. Life here goes on, you know, despite the news from the outside world. It doesn't really matter because, well, things here are not affected by the outside world. The harvest is really what drives life out here, and the seasons. So, as Grandma and Grandpa, they have been through quite a bit themselves. They've seen lots and lots of things come and go, lots of calamity, and the seasons still come, the harvest still comes, the planting season still comes, and you get through it. So, yeah, it's kind of nice to be out here and away from all of that. And I'm going to do myself a favor and stop looking at the news all the time. Well, this is probably about all I have for this video, so I'll go ahead and wrap it up, and I guess we'll see you guys in the next one.